shut up and never say anything again as long as you live.
Voila. Voila. We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
Every minute you don't tell us why you're here, I cut off a finger.
Mine or yours?
Yours. Damn.
I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. And Jack left town.
Hey, how are you? My goodness. So obviously I've been working around behind the scenes trying to get the show back up on its feet, and fingers crossed today that the software survives this part of it. I have been tempting fates as we've gone along. We will know in moments if we get a super chat or something along those lines, if it will cause the entire thing to fall apart, since browser sources seems to be the wreckage that causes issues with Big Sur and M1 Max. Fingers crossed. If it works out, the computer that went to the doctor today, which comes back tomorrow, I literally dropped it off and they're like, yeah, that thing's messed up. We fixed the software on it. It was freaking out. So basically I took my desktop computer to therapy today, essentially. It didn't have a hardware issue. It was completely, they just sat it on a couch and went, so when did you start to hate your mother? You know, and eventually it came to in that regard. So, you know, we'll miss some of the little bells and whistles, but yes, I did take it to the Genius Bar. I will say that the Genius Bar locally is not so much a bar anymore. It's sort of like a food truck. Oh, a test case. Look at that. Well, we got one little dot in there. Did we see? Will we see? There should be a thing go up there. If I miss it, let me know. Yeah, it was Hunter Biden's guy. It was this blind dude from Delaware. I just handed him my laptop. I'm like, get it back to me whenever you can. I'm going to send Rudy to... Oh, there it goes. Look, it actually worked. And the thing worked. Look. Oh, that's a miracle. Now, if I can reopen the software after I shut it down for tomorrow's show and not have to reinstall all of it from scratch, that would be fun. Fingers crossed. Good Lord. Yes, he was blind. He looked like Rutger Hauer in the... Sorry. It was very strange. What was the Blind Swordsman? What was the version of that he did? I'm blitzing on the name now. That's just sad. Yeah, Rudy's got his laptop. He promised to drop it off at Keith Ablow's, or whoever that guy's house is. And welcome back, trolls. Everything you did it for us, and here you are. Lady Hawk. Yes, it was like Lady Hawk, absolutely. Her name was Isabeau. Lady Hawk is frigging fantastic as a movie if you have not seen it, and some of Matthew Broderick's most charming work. One of the greatest moments is he's a contortionist, effectively, and that's why he's such a good thief, and he can basically, like, dislocate all of his shoulders and his neck and his rib cage. He can squish down, and he can basically, like a rat, slip through a hole that, as long as it's big enough for his head or his hips, he can get through it, right? And at one point, he's squeezing himself out of this hole as he escapes a prison, and he goes, not unlike escaping mother's womb. God, what a memory. And it's tremendously, It's in my top 10 romantic films of all time. Not only for the romance between, Rutger Hauer's character and Michelle Pfeiffer's character, he's bon, but Matthew Broderick's kind of sad pining for her as the, desperately in love with her, but she's always at a distance, and the whole thing is destined for them to be together, and he's just kind of making it happen. That, it's one of the greatest third wheel performances in film history. I love Lady Hawk, used to be my nickname. That's a great nickname. You sound like John Wood. It's just terrific. I recommend it wholeheartedly. That's it. Oh, thanks. Her name was Lola. She was a showgirl. That's a sad friggin' song too. Talk about just misery in terms of Christ. Let's see. So I've got a couple of things. Obviously, we're going to go with Trump's statement about himself that also vaguely touches on the fact that Rush Limbaugh died today. We'll be touching on that. I have to, I got to bring this up. Please don't make noise. Okay, good. It's not work. Okay. You guys know, we'll get to this in a minute, but you guys know how I feel about Carter Page. I'm soundly in the F Carter Page crowd. Because everybody's saying that because there were no digital records of Carter Page's involvement in the communications and the collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign and Trump himself, that somehow that was indication that he was innocent. Now, courts never find anybody innocent. They just they don't have enough evidence to convict you, so they call you not guilty. There's a big wide swath between innocent and not guilty. The reality is that Carter Page was a courier. By all measures, he's the asshole who just carried the paperwork to Russia and dropped it off because Trump doesn't do email because of the butter emails crowd. And he never trusted it anyways. He didn't want anything that's a record that he can't shred or tear up. He's always been panicked about that because of the circles he runs in. So he had this dipshit carry his paperwork to Russia and bring some paperwork back. And they're like, yeah, because there's no emails, he's innocent. Get out of here. Did you see his interviews with Chris Hayes where he's like, yeah, I might have talked to that guy. I ran into him a couple times. I mean, we didn't really hang out. We just kind of be together. Like, it's just dodgy and it's crap. Good Lord. So we'll get to him in a bit, but we'll go straight to this. Now, let me know if the audio is okay, guys, because I haven't pre-listened to this stuff. And I also am just hoping that the quality is reasonable and the balance. So I'm going to be writing the levels during this opening on my very own. So wish me luck. Here we go. And this is, I don't know if he calls in right straight away, but here it is.
We are about to be joined, I understand, by the president, the former president of the United States, who you...
By the way, just saying, if one of your most ardent supporters dies, one of your other millionaire sex tourist, drug-addicted friends who said that drug-addicted sex tourists should be thrown in jail and the key should be buried someplace underneath their corpse after they pass away, who was caught, getting his house cleaner to bring 30,000 pain pills over the border for him, and wasn't, busted going into the Dominican Republic with a bunch of Viagra, pain pills, and condoms. Ugh. I mean, sex tourism being what it is, if you're meeting a friend, if you're trying to get your groove back, that's one thing. That's clearly not what Rush was doing. If your dude passes, if you're one of your a number one bro before hose passes away, maybe get up and get out of your pajamas when you call into his favorite network to talk about his death. Maybe just maybe. The sound is low. Is it low? Is it right? It doesn't go much higher than this without getting blowout. But my stream thing says it's high, so you can turn your volume up a touch. I would guess would be the hope. So fingers crossed. Here we go. And their side of it I'll bring up as well.
Gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2020 at the State of the Union address.
Oh boy, did he.
to Rush Limbaugh.
Oh yeah, I can see how that's that part of it's low. Let me see if I can. How can I know how I can do that. I'll bring myself down, and then leave it up and bring the whole thing up, and then see how that helps it.
President Trump, are you with me?
I am, and it was a great honor to do so when we gave the Medal of Freedom.
Sorry, I know he's aging and quickly, but is he also got a helium balloon on hand? At what point? I mean,
It was something special. It was an incredible night. We gave it during the State of the Union address, and it was especially half the room. Half the room went crazy, and the other half of the room, they knew he should get it. But it was special, and he was special.
Half the room went crazy, and half the room knew he should get it. What? Do you mean that they thought he should get it, but they didn't want to cheer because they're Democrats, and is that where we're going with this? Probably.
Mr. President, thank you for joining us.
Mr. President, thank you for joining us. Let me fill in. I'm really low. Okay, thank you. We'll do that.
Yes. When was the last time you spoke with Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah, when was the last time you guys spoke together?
3 or 4 days ago. I'd call him just to find out. His fight was very, very courageous, and he was very, very sick. And, from diagnosis on, it was just something that was not going to be beaten. But
he just never had a shot. So what'd you do? Call him up every 2 days to tell him you really don't have a shot? I mean, I don't know what they're telling you or why are you paying these people? I mean, aren't they?
You wouldn't know it. And he is married to an incredible woman, Catherine, who really, every time I spoke to him, he would tell me how great she was. She took such great care. He was very brave. I mean, he, in theory, could have been gone 4 months ago, really.
But he hung on for what, January 6th?
He was fighting till the very end. He was a fighter.
But it was never going to work, and that's what you called him to tell him?
A great gentleman.
Yeah, while you were in the White House, how did you view how he either carried on your message or...
Yeah, how can we make this about you? Thanks, Bill. Classy.
Chose to agree or disagree with the policies you had as Commander-in-Chief?
Hold on. Why? Their audio vacillates, by the way. They've got him turned up and them turned down.
You just had Sean Hannity, who's
who?
Incredible. And
yes, he's an incredible failure. I mean, he's rich, but literally hated by everybody at work and his own family. How weird is that?
Sean would say there is nobody like Rush. Sean would.
Yeah, but now Sean is hoping to take Rush's spot. He's literally the next guy in the Pez dispenser.
The first to say that I used to say, well, what do you think someday? And he'd say he's irreplaceable.
What do you think someday? Literally, he's like, he's got cancer. What do you think? You're going to take his place? You're gonna be the next big dude? And Sean, trying to show some sense of humanity, went, no, he's irreplaceable. What?
Rush is irreplaceable, unique. He had an audience that was massive. And, he could do something, Bill, and he would.
Bill and whoever the chick is.
Would get up in the show and would just talk. He wouldn't take phone calls where, people would call in every 2 minutes, and that's sort of easy to do.
Is it? Hey, I do that every day. My audience is massive, but only in their kind of charm and intellect.
He would just talk for 2 hours.
We know.
And 3 hours, just talk.
Just filling time, selling teddy bears and making up things like Barack the Magic Negro and creepy anti-gay statement, like playing what, like dance music and throwing confetti when someone died of AIDS, that kind of stuff. Just talk.
And that's not an easy thing to do. And I once asked him, I said,
why not? Sorry, but I would say on the light side of bloviating assholes, I myself find it quite easy to do, as a matter of fact. And even in playing these clips, you guys have seen me. You guys actually, many of you who've watched me do any of the Zoom stand-up shows that I've done for Flappers or anybody else, I can do an hour like that. I mean, I like, it's easy of stand-up, not just, you know, what are we talking about? Let me rifle through the newspaper and bitch about it. Do you know how many dudes Rush Limbaugh's size, shape, look, and age do nothing but prattle for 3 hours a day about shit they see in the news that they half understand, but just enough to get angry about?
Do you study for the show? And he said, actually, I study very hard.
That is funny. Do you study for the show?
Which a little bit, Harris said, a little bit surprised me, but he was a fantastic man.
It a little bit surprised me that he studied for the show. You know, listening to it, I never really felt like there's a guy who does his homework. What?
Fantastic talent. And people, whether they loved him or not, they respected him.
No, I did not love him, and I did not respect him. I at most, I feel bad for his wife and any family members that are mourning right now. Genuinely, if they're going through what I believe they're going through, depending on whether they've come to terms with it now or before, or just dealing with it. The mourning of someone's passing is always hard. Even if you had 1 foot out the door, you'd still feel that way about most of your relatives. That said, I personally had no respect for the man. What he means is, dude had an audience. He made a bunch of cash. I mean, say what you will, but the Germans had nice uniforms.
They really did.
That's comparing Trump to a fan of the Nazis, not Limbaugh to a Nazi, just in case I get caught in some sort of like, are you?
President Trump, if you would stay with us for just about a minute.
Just about a minute. Can you stay with us for a minute and then leave?
And a half, or maybe a little longer. We want to show the day that you gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Let's watch that together. And
yeah, let's watch it together.
then I have a follow-up question on the flip side.
Okay.
And Rush, in recognition of all that you have done for our nation, the millions of people a day that you speak to and that you inspire.
Yeah, he's not Tony Robbins, dude. They're not inspired to better their lives. They're inspired to threaten the lives of black people and gay people and Democrats in general and anybody they consider a feminazi or a libtard. Yeah, it's very inspiring. I mean, I honestly, I think he could have walked on water if they just had thicker water.
And all of the incredible work that you have done for charity.
Well, Charity, of course, she's working a double shift down at the Itchy Kitty.
I am proud to announce tonight that you will be receiving our country's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Is he disgusted by it? Well, for the record, it's the President Trump Medal of Freedom, because there will forever be an asterisk next to everybody he gave one to. All I had to do was destroy discourse more than any single person in the history of the country.
I will now ask the First Lady of the United States to present you with the honor, please.
Yeah, everybody, like half the people there are like, what the hell is this? You do this at the Oval. She's going to put it on him just for singing Barack the Magic Negro. I mean, that's something that was their first dance. I don't know if you know that, but he and Melania. So he didn't present him with it. The first lady gave it to him. It was not actually bestowed upon him by the president. Is that some sort of... Does it not work when you get into the Illuminati party if you wave it in front of the scanner? Like, I'm sorry, you can't come in. That wasn't put on you by the actual president. Yeah, basically like a Goebbels moment, I guess. Then I guess I am making the comparison.
Rush and Catherine, congratulations.
Yeah, she's not getting one, but...
And if you are just tuning in, we are...
Yeah, you may have missed it.
We're joined by President number 45, former President Donald J. Trump.
Ooh, she said former. That's not going to make him happy. That's going to trigger him.
And you saw him there along with the First Lady awarding Rush Limbaugh, who has left us today, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And President Trump, I have always wondered, just seeing the look of surprise on Rush's face, what he knew about that moment and what you learned that he was going through in that moment after. He is succumbed to tears, and I was curious, what did he know was coming?
So I did tell him beforehand because we didn't.
Am I the only person who was like didn't kiss him back? Didn't? Maybe I'm just getting getting too used to public displays of affection now.
Really, the power of not doing it. You know, Rush was very sick at the time. He was at a hospital in Boston, and I didn't want to do the surprise thing. I wish I could have done that, but we really didn't have that power of doing it because
honestly, are they playing Trump's voice through some sort of pitch shifter?
It was a very difficult thing for him to come into Washington from where he was, and he did it. And there was questions as to whether or not he was just a very brave guy. He was amazing, and he came in, and it was, as he told me, it was the greatest honor of his life. And everybody in the room. You're talking about the Republicans and the Democrats. You had half of that room went crazy. You remember the evening well, I'm sure. It was very unique.
Well, half of them are only in office because of the BS he slathered every day.
Moment in our country's history, in a sense.
Oh, they pre-recorded his answers and sped it up a bit? That might be one of the only logical answers. I don't think so. It sounds live.
It's because of who Rush is, but half went just absolutely crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Seriously, there's something going on with Trump's voice right now.
The other half sat totally dead silent, but 100% of that room respected Rush.
No, they didn't. Why would they? Are you out of your mind?
It was a unique guy, and he was he became a friend of mine. You know, I didn't know Rush at all. I had essentially never met Rush. And then,
essentially,
when we came down the escalator, he liked my rather controversial speech. I made that speech that was a little bit on the controversial side, and he loved it. And he was, without ever having met him or talked to him or,
yeah, or paying him,
had lunch with him or asked him, he was with me right from the beginning. And he
gee, I wonder why.
Liked what I said, and he agreed with what
it's almost as if he found a comrade in shitty behavior.
I said, and he was just a great gentleman, great man.
Mr. President,
that is such fascinating detail that you're giving.
Don't step on Hemmer. He's got a question. They've requested,
Mr. President, about how you didn't really know.
Trump is hoarse from screaming into his MyPillow. I don't know. His voice would be. Maybe that's what happens. Like now that he's aging, he's starting to tighten up.
Him all that well. Yet he became someone who carried your message. I'm curious to know what you wanted him to know, and maybe you got to tell him in the last 3 or 4 days that you spoke about the difference that he made for you.
Well, I think he did, and I've heard as many as 39 million people. You know, that's an audience that you don't hear about anymore.
What? Okay, this is going to be gross.
And I heard 39 million people, and I don't know if you remember, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I did his show, and I heard they had a tremendous audience, and it lasted for like a long time. The interview was like
Yeah, we did it. It was embarrassing.
an hour, and it just went right through. And it was, his questions were fascinating. I think the show was fascinating.
No, it wasn't. It was irritating. It was embarrassing. He was trying to rehab you, and you were too dumb to see it.
He had a way of.
He's got a way about him. He listens to my shit, and then he passes on it.
He had an insight that few people have. Just
Yes, thank God. Few people have that insight.
few people have, even really good ones, really pros in your business. And by the way, you two are some great combination. You and Bill together, Harris, that's a great combination.
It totally is. It's lightning.
That does
Yeah, especially when they step on each other and pretend like they just met.
incredibly well.
Thank
and
you,
we
Mr.
thank you
President.
for it. We really thank you both for it. But he was a
We thank you for taking my phone call.
very unique guy, and he had tremendous insight. He got it. He really got it.
He had a grip on reality like nobody else had. You could tell. Anybody who thinks that all drug dealers and drug addicts should spend the rest of their lives in jail, and then he gets busted dealing and using drugs, and just goes, throw my housekeeper in jail, but spare me.
He was very street smart, in a sense.
He was street smart. Yeah, he was totally down. You barely saw him in a suit. He was always, cap on sideways, couple of pills in his pocket, standing on a street corner. He had that kind of, nobody goes to jail, Karen, kind of an attitude.
And a lot of people wouldn't know, but he was very, very street smart. He really got it.
A lot of people wouldn't know. Why wouldn't they? Talk for 3 hours a day. Okay, look. At a certain point, if you talk every day for 3 goddamn hours, everybody's going to know who you are, even if you just come up with it. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but I was born a poor black child. Everybody's going to go, yeah, I've heard your show. No, you weren't.
Mr. President, we probably have 100 questions for you, but so many of
Oh, yeah, I've got a couple.
them are not appropriate
Where do we submit them?
for this venue, so we'll keep it on this topic for now. And
Don't vary too much. Let's keep it on the topic of the dead guy.
we appreciate your time today. Perhaps that street smarts came from growing up in the Midwest, at Cape Girardeau.
Yeah, that's where most people get their street smarts.
In Missouri along the Mississippi River. Later,
You get street smarts. They weren't so much street smarts as river smarts.
he went on to work for the Kansas City Royals and the Pittsburgh Pirates before he turned his attention full-time to radio in Sacramento, California. But you just said something a moment ago, and Harris picked up on it. Just tell us more about how you two got to know each other.
Show us the warmth that we're seeing in this picture. This ooh moment that you're having when you're around anyone who's sick, where you don't know how to empathize and you're freaking out because you have to touch somebody because you think everything is physically contagious and you think people are disgusting. And this moment where they pick a shot, they couldn't even pick the hug that you had. I don't know why. What is this picture? Think of have you guys ever seen people photograph celebrities or anybody at a rally like this? They're doing bat shots, everybody. And this is the picture they pull? The issue isn't with Trump. I'm not roasting or with Limbaugh. I'm talking about Trump's lack of ability to deal with the death of his friend and is always making it about him. Oh, thank you, Amy. Bless you.
I'm thinking of 2015, the summer, 17.
Seriously, we always hear that he can't stand touching people who are sick. And look at him, right? Look at that picture. This is the picture that Fox pulled.
Candidates on a stage in Cleveland. At what point did he concede that you were the guy, and how did that come about?
He conceded that you're the guy. Oh, I guess we got to get behind this idiot.
Well, I got a call from a friend of mine who was a big Rush fan, and he said, Rush loves you. I said, I don't see that. I hadn't heard. I'm not able to listen to the radio during the afternoon too much. You're on the trail, and you're making speeches or doing whatever you're doing. I was actually making speeches and running a business. I was doing both of them simultaneously.
Well, a business, a branding opportunity.
Right? And he just told me that, and then all of a sudden...
When am I going to get a nice painting of myself talking at an event with a handheld mic in front of a flag to put behind myself in the exact same outfit? Sorry, he's wearing a striped shirt, the other one, but, I mean...
And I started getting little transcript stuff. I would try to listen every once in a while.
I'd try to get little transcripts and stuff.
There right from the beginning, and it was incredible. And then I guess I called him.
You guess?
To thank him. And we developed just some very good friendship. We played golf together a little bit.
We developed some very good friendship. This sounds like a person who meets other people and peoples a lot.
But he was a
Christ almighty. It sounds like we're listening to Mark Zuckerberg.
very strong guy.
I was peopling next to him, and he was being human, and we humaned together.
Physically very strong. Hit the ball a long way. He was...
I guess the reason...
A big hitter, the Llama. And he turned to me and he said, Gunga, Gunga la Gunga, 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 Gunga la Gunga. And
I asked that question, and you think back about 5 years ago.
Let's go back to that shot.
You don't strike me as his kind of guy back then. What changed?
Trump?
Well, I don't know. You know, you never know about people. I like some people that nobody would think I like, and I dislike some people that
List them.
everybody would say, "Oh, that's a natural." We all know about that, right?
No, we don't. What are you talking about?
I mean, you never know who you like and who you don't like, or you know where it all ends up.
What? What was that? Wait, hold on. Hang out. Back up. What?
I mean, you never know who you like and who you don't like, or you know where it all ends up.
Who picks friends like this? Yeah, like Jeffrey Epstein. You know, sometimes, you know, you'd think I would hate somebody like Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell because they trafficked in teenage girls and prostituted them to the rich and powerful, and you know. But no, hung out with them all the time. And you would think, you know, that I would like real Christians.
I mean, you never know who you like and who you don't like, or you know where it all ends up.
I don't even know what that means.
But right from the beginning, he was so great, and you know.
Who's that dude? Anybody know who that dude is? He looks like a lot of fun. And it looks like Rush is yelling at him, "Give me the mic back." Did he just steal the mic? Was this the time that Rush Limbaugh wrestled another dude for the radio title?
Oh, and
is that a Lee? Yeah, it's Lee Greenwood's stunt double.
I have a very beautiful weakness. I always seem to like people that like me. Okay.
Shit. This is his eulogy. What a pathetic prick you have to be. Listen to this crap.
But right from the beginning, he was so great. And, you know, and I have a very beautiful weakness. I always seem to like people that like me, okay? You know, it's much easier.
Yikes. Yikes. What a shitty thing to say when someone dies. I liked him because he liked me.
When they don't like me, I tend not to go for them.
That is funny. That is funny. Laugh, Bill.
So much. So call that a strength or call that a weakness. But
it's a weakness. It's fucked up. You're a weirdo. That's okay. Just for the record, you don't have to like me for me to appreciate you or like you as a human being. If you dislike me, it's probably because we have a difference in ethics, not just on a personality level. But I will give people room where I'm like, yeah, they don't have to like me. I really appreciate what they do. But literally, that's the key to the door.
But that's the way it is
with Trump.
Yeah. Was so gracious and so great. So then
that's what the thing about Rush was. He liked me so much. Jesus Christ.
Time I got to know him, and he loved this country. He loved the country. He loved his wife and his family, and he loved.
That's weird. Are there any other Americans like that? Oh yeah, there were a bunch of them. 500,000 of them are dead.
Loved his fans, his audience, which was, I think, maybe the biggest ever. There's never been anything like it. You know, when Sean said,
Jesus Christ.
Is irreplaceable. He really means it too. He's irreplaceable.
What did he share with you,
I'm
after
curious,
the election in November?
Yeah, you know what? They are a team. I'm going to take back what I said. This is like a well-oiled machine happening at Fox.
Really means it too. He's irreplaceable.
Watch, listen to this.
What did he share with you,
I'm
after
curious,
the election in November 3rd?
Mr. President.
See, you can't get better than that. I mean, granted, they're in the same room across from each other, and so that can make things a little difficult when you're actually there. But to make it sound like a Zoom call with a delay when there isn't one, I mean, that's talent. That's listen.
What did he share with you,
I'm
after
curious,
the election in November 3rd?
Mr. President.
Just stepping all over each other. You didn't plot this shit out? Is there not a producer on the goddamn show?
I'm curious to know if he gave you a note or two, or if he had some advice for you at any point along the way.
So he.
Oh man, did Rush tell you how to do things? I mean, you thought it was. I mean, it's bad enough that this is okay. All Rush Limbaugh issues aside, allegedly, this is supposedly someone that Trump was close with and supported him. And this is how Trump treats those people.
He was, again, it was very early because, that famous escalator ride was
Jesus Christ.
the very beginning. And he was one of the people that said we were going to win. He thought we were going to win. I don't think it was necessarily the reason he was so, gracious so early.
Yeah, it wasn't nice because he thought that I was going to win. He was nice because we were both telling birther lies about the first black president. We just kind of hit it off.
But he thought we were going to win. He just.
Yeah, I think, guys, for some of you people are asking, I think it's a bone conductive hearing aid because his that's when the little hammer and tickle that's in your ear fails completely. They use bone conduction for that.
He had an incredible instinct for politics, and he had an incredible instinct for life. I mean, he was just so. I just
an incredible instinct for life.
I walked into a room, and there's a lot of people in the room, and they're all very sad to see people that you wouldn't even think about, like with respect to Rush, but they're very sad to see that Rush passed away. He is a legend.
What? He's at Mar-a-Lago. That's what he's talking about. He's at Mar-a-Lago, and he's surprised that people at Mar-a-Lago are upset that Rush Limbaugh died. And he's the guy being called to go, isn't it sad that Rush Limbaugh died? And he's like, I would have thought these people would hate his guts. They're all rich assholes like you. They're members of your club. Yes, a cochlear implant. Thank you, Beatport Babe.
He really is. There aren't too many legends around, but he is a legend. And to those people that listen to him every day, it was like a religious experience for a lot of people. I mean,
yeah, totally. It was a religious experience with commercial breaks for Build-A-Bear and Yankee Candle.
His fans, they just wouldn't miss him. A very, very unique person.
Yeah.
Yuck. By the way, hold on one second. Go away, don't go there. Hold on. Here, there we go. Sorry, my screens aren't programmed yet. So, let's see. I don't want to play music right now. I don't understand why if you push that it just starts off. Please go away. Yeah. So, I don't know why. I mean, that was the piece that was there. Yeek. Ugh, do we dare?
I want to bring in Mark Levin, host of Life, Liberty, and Levin.
Okay, so Mark Levin is a complete creep. But I think what we're going to actually see here is a complete creep who at least viewed Rush Limbaugh as a friend and compatriot and actually will experience emotion.
And a Fox News contributor.
We'll see.
He joins us now by phone. Mark, good to have you with us. I heard you speaking earlier when the news was very fresh, just a couple of hours ago. Your thoughts as you've continued to reflect on the loss of your dear friend.
Well, Martha, first time I met you was at his wedding, wasn't it?
That's right. That's exactly right.
And he was one of my best friends. Pardon me.
It's okay.
I would say this.
Yeah, I'm assuming that he's stopping because he's getting choked up, and if he is, hey, Mark Levin, you know I've made fun of you in the past, and I do jokes where I dress up like you because I view your political ideals and all that kind of stuff as ridiculous, and you need help. But that said, I'm sorry you're upset at the loss of your friend. How about that?
Very, very happy with the outpouring of support for him. And in many ways, he would be shocked by it. People say he was a very regular guy. He was a regular guy, but he was utterly inquisitive, curious all the time. He had a huge library in his home. He read the great philosophers. This is a man who never went to college, and he didn't need to go to college.
College. Who needs it?
We exchanged over the years many, many emails, lots of discussion about various issues. He became an expert.
Is that him? Wait, sorry. I'm not even showing this thing. Sorry, my bad. There you go. Is that statue him?
On the Constitution, the history of the nation, all self-taught. He was as kind could be, you know. Early.
Well, that's just not true. All right, I'm bailing out on that. First of all, if he's upset, he's upset. And he lost his friend, and that's enough for me. I don't like, you can have the space, you know, in my world, I believe you should give people the space to mourn, even if you despised the person that they are talking about. There will be another day to deal with the other issues between Mark Levin and I as far as politics and ideology and philosophy. So let's just jump ahead. By the way, I don't think this is long. Hold on. I have to see real quick.
Carter Page. He joins me now to discuss.
Okay. This Carter Page piece, I can't speak to what the hell. But I'm excited to hear
this long battle he has been enduring to clear his name. Carter, we want to.
Well, it's not going to work, Carter, because I think you're full of shit.
Thank you so much for coming on the program. How are you, sir?
I'm doing as well as can be expected, Dan. And thanks for having me, and thanks for everything you're doing to help expose the truth.
Well, you know.
Excuse me. I'm the one exposing truth here. This is the guy who's helping you with your cover story. This is one of those like, hey, thanks for helping me with my alibi, bruh. Just remember, I was with you all night.
I'm not one of those guys to go, yeah, I told you so. But I'm one of the millions of Americans who watched this unfold, who didn't believe it on its face value when it all began back in 2015, wondering.
So you just were just hunting based on confirmation bias?
What was going on?
I think everything against Trump is totally fraudulent. Like, these guys, what is there bad about these? Perfect. I mean, look at him.
Didn't trust, obviously, Hillary Clinton's campaign whatsoever and the information coming out from there. And then
Washington Examiner paid Fusion GPS for the Christopher Steele dossier, during which time Christopher Steele slept with Ivanka Trump, allegedly. That's interesting. And when he was done with it, they decided, since Trump was the front runner, they didn't want it anymore. So they went to the Hillary Clinton campaign. They bought it because they were like, oh, okay, this is Oppo research. This will be useful against him. Then they read it and was like, peeing on beds in Moscow. We can't use this. We think we're going to win, and we don't want to dirty ourselves up even dealing with this dude. And they shelved it. And so Christopher Steele went to the FBI with it.
And we watch as these aides.
Carter Page salivating makes me nauseous. Yeah, it's weird.
Like yourself, George, the good general, Flynn, all these people are.
The good general.
Dropping as this Russian collusion hoax manifests and becomes bigger and bigger from 15, 16, 17, just carried on throughout the presidency.
Until Rod Rosenstein stopped them from looking into Trump's finances. You know.
Entire presidency, called him illegitimate. And now we know, and if people would put it out there, it was all BS. And
no, it wasn't.
Made up. And Carter, we feel so bad for you, man. I don't even know.
I don't.
Just tell folks, back up 4 or 5 years and give them the background on how this all.
Yeah, watch his eyebrows. No. Let me tell the truth. This is, Absolutely. The behavior, I'm like a human lie detector.
Started in the hell you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dan, I think you've...
Somebody asked, didn't Steele go to McCain? McCain sent it to the FBI. Yeah, he was the one who referred him.
You've outlined it pretty well at a high level. Unfortunately...
Yeah, that was a total... You guys got all the details you needed. This was all BS from 2015. I thought so, and everybody else thought so. And we just watched it be more BS and stuff. Tell us how I'm right.
As we keep learning now, and as I've known since the very beginning, it's just there are so many additional people involved in perpetrating this complete hoax.
Yeah, Sergei Kislyak.
So this was, I mean, it wasn't just the Hillary Clinton campaign. It was a network of lawyers associated with the Democrats, and literally...
A network of lawyers.
The DNC, the Democratic Party, paying for this entire sham. So
the DNC didn't pay for the Mueller investigation or any of that stuff. What are you talking about?
Really, what we've continued to see over the last...
What does that even mean? We know who paid for what. Christopher Steele was paid twice for that thing.
Several years is just one step after another. And I think, as you correctly stated, zero or almost no whatsoever acknowledgement of the truth. They just, they continue to throw additional lies out there to just distract from this terrible story, which is just continued to unfold.
What is that? Did anybody, was there any information in that other than they won't even say that they were wrong when they weren't wrong?
Yeah, and I love to throw the mainstream corporate media lapdogs under the bus because I'm
not one. I'm just hanging out on what the shit is this? One America News? Is this OAN? Honest to God, it's Real America with Dan Ball. 2 balls, no waiting.
I think if everybody wants to talk about an insurrection and treasonous acts, I say that.
Yeah, January 6th counts, yeah.
This weekly on this show. I think the mainstream media over the last 4 or 5 years, particularly pertaining to your case, the Russian collusion hoax, they're guilty of treason because they've done nothing.
So we should shoot the mainstream media for following these stories?
But perpetuate this lie that this occurred, and as all this comes out as...
You can see how Carter Page is like, dude, I'm trying to shoehorn my lie into what you're saying, and I've got a very narrow area where I can even talk without stepping outside and getting in legal trouble. So can you please stop playing fast and loose with the pronouns?
The president, I'm sure you saw, released the documents on his last few days in the White House.
No, he didn't.
It proves that it was all a setup. And they won't even cover it. Even when the lawyer, what's his name, Kleinsmith, gets the slap on the wrist for lying to the FISA court in that email, making up a direct lie right there. This is a guy entrusted with...
By the way, the change that he made, that this dude... Hold on one second. It doesn't work on that screen. That Kleinsmith made it harder, made it less likely that Carter Page would have his FISA warrant re-upped. The lie would have benefited, and yet there was still enough information to go forward with it.
The law, an attorney for the FBI, he lies and gets a slap on the wrist. That just goes to show...
He didn't lie. He downplayed something that should have been played up.
The corruption started in the FBI.
Because Carter Page was literally, if that guy had gone further with what he was doing, they wouldn't have re-upped the FISA warrant. Good Lord.
Comey goes all the way down. We know from Strzok and Page and those text messages.
I mean, this is like a mobbed up journalist interviewing a lower level mob guy after they bought their way out of a trial by threatening the jury.
And then obviously Mr. Steele and the Steele dossier, which they knew.
Jesus Christ. What is up with Carter? Hang on, man. I know I'm muggy, but goddamn.
Andy McCabe knew and the FBI knew it didn't hold water. Yet they...
Can you imagine watching television with Carter Page? Yeah. Do you want to watch another episode? No, my head might fall off.
Used it to go after you and others.
Yeah, I think the sad part about it, Dan, is I was literally begging Mr. Kleinsmith back in April 2017, almost 4 years ago, just begging him to help because I was getting almost constant death threats related to these complete lies.
And he helped you. So now we find that out. Here's a new piece of information, ladies and gentlemen, that during the time that Mr. Kleinsmith was, allegedly lied in the FISA document, which we now know downplayed Carter Page, that at the same time, contemporaneously, Carter Page was begging him to help him out. So Kleinsmith actually throws himself in front of a goddamn bus for this dipshit. And that's news. This is news. Holy hell. We now, dude, he fixed the FISA warrant re-up request to make it less likely that Carter Page would get his FISA warrant re-upped at the request of fucking Carter Page. Look back, listen to this shit.
Because I was getting almost constant death threats.
Hold on, I got to go back a little further. Hold on.
Kleinsmith, back in April.
CABE knew and the FBI knew it didn't hold water, yet they used it to go after you and others.
Yeah, I think the sad part about it, Dan, is I was literally begging Mr. Kleinsmith.
Ew.
Back in April 2017, almost 4 years ago, just begging him to help because.
And he did. And that's what he got busted for. That is literally the time. That's a timestamp on why that dude helped. This is actually accidental breaking news. Yeah, he does sound like Emo Phillips a little bit. Like if he out of character. That's kind of amazing. Was he on his tongue out? I'm gonna go with yeah.
I was getting almost constant death threats related to these complete lies. And I think, as you're correctly noting, with respect to the mainstream media, they kept pushing these false dossier-related allegations. And I just...
The dossier-related allegations against you are sound.
You know, I kept getting death threats, and I was just hoping that there might be some protection. Unfortunately, it's a very political...
He did. He protected you.
...body. And unfortunately, the Washington establishment, including...
There it is, the establishment. Big tech, big media, big Democrat.
Including at all levels, really. Not only...
Yeah, everybody. I mean, like National Guard troops, janitorial service, anybody, all the secretarial staff, anybody who, the FBI guys who sit in vans all day listening to recordings of mobsters trying to bust them for child trafficking and drugs. Everybody. I mean, it's just gross.
A relatively junior lawyer such as Mr. Kleinsmith, but also up to the highest levels of the Democrat Party and the federal bureaucracy were really pushing these complete lies, doing tremendous damage to not only our country, not only to innocent Americans such as myself.
You're not. You weren't.
But also to the very establishment of our government, particularly as outlined in the U.S. Constitution.
How? Please cite the Constitution.
The principles of which, or nearly all principles of which, have been completely trampled on over these most recent years.
Yes, his life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness have been completely shit on by the fact that he was a material courier for the Trump organization to send written documents to and from Russia. Boo fuckity who.
With little end in sight in terms of, actually achieving justice here.
Yeah. Carter, you know what happened to you? And by the way, you remain...
It could happen to anybody who carries a briefcase full of documents to meet with GRU officials and then comes back with their reply and doesn't engage in email, just written documents.
So calm. I'm so amped up about this. I get fired up when anybody even brings up the word.
Well, see, you can get amped up because you're just a sycophantic Trump supporter yelling about it. Carter Page isn't getting as excited about it as you are because he knows he's lying. He just knows he has to use this opportunity to dig himself out or he's completely screwed. So spies don't jump up and down, ever.
Russian hoax.
There's never been a moment where, like you see at the end of a James Bond movie, he goes, "I'm free."
I mean, I get fired up for you and for all the people involved.
Oh, who doesn't get fired up for Carter Page? Look, Carter likes that. Wait a minute, you get fired up for me? Do tell.
That their names were trashed, your lives were ruined, but it also...
Yeah, your life is in ruins, Carter. Nobody wants to hang out with you, man.
So, as you just alluded to, it hurt the country because you still...
It so did. I mean, we're all denied the great work that Carter Page could have done for us economically. What a loss that America doesn't have Carter Page at Wall Street connected like he should be, helping us solve the GameStop crisis.
Still have people today on the left who firmly believe that President Donald J. Trump, yourself and others, colluded with Russia, and
yeah, they did.
That he, in fact, was an illegitimate president. That's what they say when you ask him. I have friends.
Well, no, I believe he was voted in. There's a difference. There's a difference between, like, he's illegitimate in you know, if you want to say that, in terms of the fact that he had help from Russia as far as the messaging of it. But I don't think there were material votes flipped necessarily. I think the Republicans, if anything, denied more people the right to vote, and that helped him more than any votes could be flipped in his favor. The reality is they coordinated messaging and WikiLeaks and all that kind of stuff together. That was the goal, to try and chip away at Hillary Clinton's weaknesses until her strengths, until they overwhelmed her, you know, were overwhelmed by her weaknesses.
In this industry, that when I bring it up and go, but didn't you see what the lawyer lied? Didn't you see the steal?
Yeah, he lied to help Carter Page, dipshit, and he just told you. He just told you that he was asking him to help, and he did.
Dossier was fake. Didn't you see that the DNC said, let's use this to get away from Hillary's emails? It's all out there in black and white.
No, it isn't. It isn't. If you're talking about Clapper's notes, then give me the unredacted version.
And they literally turned a blind eye.
The part where the Trump organization is saying that this is just to help Hillary Clinton get away from the email scandal. And then you redact everything, but this is just to help Hillary Clinton get away from the email scandal, and we're supposed to buy it?
And go, nope,
Yay.
Trump cheated, Carter cheated, they colluded with Russia.
They did, he did.
It's all lies.
No, it isn't.
It's not. And here's the proof.
That it isn't proof. The proof was, we looked at this shit, dude. You haven't even looked at the goddamn FISA warrant application.
Proof's in the pudding. It's out there. And people just are oblivious to it. Let's talk about your book.
Oh boy, Carter Page has a book.
Because at least you now have a voice.
At least you have a book till it gets canceled.
In that manner, and maybe folks will read it and it will enlighten them to the.
I'm going to start reacting like Carter Page if they talk about his book being enlightening.
The truth. Abuse and power.
Hey, a new patron. Is that what happened? Did I miss it? Did it go over my head? Because I don't have the setup. You guys got to let me know. So thank you.
Innocent American was framed in an attempted coup.
Abuse and power. How an innocent American was framed in an attempted coup against the president by Carter Page. Abuse and power. Oh my God. This is like Levin's unfreedom of the press.
Against the president. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't even need to read it. I mean, the title says it all.
It was, and thank goodness they didn't succeed. But it also damaged you, your career, and who you...
Yeah, his huge career. What? Giving speeches on economics in Russia that he's not qualified for? What was this all we heard about Hunter Biden? And meanwhile, Carter Page is supposed to be like the voice of economics? Jesus.
You are. So talk about the book and where you're at today, and I want to get to your lawsuit as well.
Turn the page.
Well, there's it's quite a long, complicated story, but really...
Yeah, that's why you wrote a book, I guess.
It's a...
yeah, just give us the Cliff Notes, brother. No one wants to buy this.
A real-life spy thriller on many levels.
Yeah, it's fiction.
Unfortunately, I think as, like with most spy mysteries, there's one story and there is some deceitful people working behind the scenes. In this case, not only within the intelligence community, not only in the United States.
Please tell me the writing is as good as the speaking.
But working in collusion with foreign spies that were literally paid for by the Democrat Party.
By the way, he means they paid Christopher Steele to go over there and he talked to some people.
So there's really many dimensions to it. I think it's a pretty...
I don't know if you're aware, but sometimes undercover cops actually talk to real-life drug dealers, and your tax dollars pay for that beer that they bought them. How do you like that?
Thrilling story, and I think in order to really fully understand the crimes that were committed against our democracy, against our president, and against a handful of innocent Americans, such
namely me,
as myself.
Right. Not so much Papadopoulos. He was kind of a dick, and we didn't really hang out.
It's really essential to set the historical record straight as we keep having.
Yes, this book is going into the historical record.
Lie after lie thrown out to the American public with very little understanding. And it's
of grammar.
It's great. I know, Dan, you've done a tremendous job with you and your show and everything that OAN has been doing to help expose the truth. But there's really a lot more where that came from. And I look forward to continuing to expose it as time goes on here. But it remains an uphill battle.
Hi, dummy. Sell your book. That's what he was helping you do. I recommend people read the book because blah, 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 blah. Did your agent not tell you? Oh, agent. Sorry. I'm sorry. He's self-published.
You know, because of what happened to you, I would love to put this offer out there that when we have things concerning the FBI and other cover-ups, and I hate using the term, I never use it, conspiracy theory, because I believe when you hear about these things from one or two sources, okay, maybe. When you hear about them from 3, 4, 5, and by the way, there's ink, black and white to prove it, that's...
Yeah, we printed these out.
Called a cover-up, not a conspiracy theory. So I'm going to throw this out to you, Carter. As
anytime you want to come by, you come on over.
We watch and we...
Honest to God, is he just... I wanted somebody... Can somebody cut to just like below his chair and just eggs are falling out? What the fuck?
We will watch closely here at OAN and Real America, this Biden administration and what...
Dun, dun, dun.
What happens with the cover-up of his connections to China. I'd like to invite you back on at any time to be a...
Yeah, come over in my house. Just flop on the couch, man. We'll just wake up. We'll talk show shit.
Commentator and a contributor on this program because I think you...
Yeah, he's offering him a job.
Of all people, know damn well what corruption in...
Damn well. I'm going to swear.
D.C. looks like and what it can do to an innocent American's life like it did to you.
What D.C. looks like and what it can do to an innocent American's life. Yeah, he's not going to do that. He's going to come on and pitch the book and do these little short segments because the longer he talks, the more trouble he will get in. He literally couldn't do... I haven't seen this asshole in months. And this idiot comes on and literally tells us the timeline of when he was asking for help and the dude helped him by fixing his FISA warrant and it still went through. Good God.
Yours. So if you'll accept it, I'm sure we'll be having you back on real soon again because, let's face it, I don't see this FBI going after Biden.
Right. Why would they?
Well, I certainly appreciate it, Dan. And, you know, we'll have to wait and see. I've always, for better and for worse, a similar situation. Literally 4 years ago at the start of the Trump administration, I thought with a new administration.
This is good. Keep going with this.
Coming into place, that the bureaucracy would take steps to actually administer justice fairly and help to expose the truth. But
Trump failed miserably.
Unfortunately,
they had to go with the evidence they actually had and not the fart air we're selling.
Again, it remains quite an uphill struggle, and we've seen nothing but deceit,
uphill battle,
and lies, and the unequal administration of justice by government bureaucrats.
Government bureaucrats don't actually mete out justice.
Achieve a political outcome. So unfortunately, it's been a huge challenge, and we'll have to see how everything plays out. But
yeah,
I always remain an optimist, and
you do.
We'll see.
I don't know.
Yeah, optimistic that one day they'll arrest Biden for stuff that I said the DNC did to me before he even took office that he's not even actually going after.
What happens step by step.
I don't know how you do it, man. You just, you manage to stick to one lie and then just blather.
I don't know how you do it, Carter. Finally, how's the lawsuit going? I know you've been struggling, trying to clear your name.
Yeah, how's that lawsuit going? Please explain to us why you want closed discovery on your side.
Trying to get some, and I don't blame you, cash out of this because they ruined your life. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to get it out of the book.
You weren't able to continue on doing what you were doing.
And what was he doing? Tell us what he was doing. Giving speeches on economics in Russia?
Making a decent living at what you were doing because they ruined your name. So where's the lawsuit stand?
Yeah, please tell us.
Well, I have a few suits that are pending right now, and I think we're at relatively early stages. And unfortunately,
yeah, I mean, it's only been years.
Fortunately, it goes back to just exactly what we're discussing in terms of the unequal application of justice. So, I mean,
how so?
You have to bear in mind, I think my main lawsuit, which is at the very early stages, against the FBI, the DOJ, and the U.S. government, which was working in collusion with the Democrat Party to perpetrate this hoax. We'll have to see. That's at quite early stages, and
it's at quite early stages. I don't have an attorney. I'm basically at the talking about it on OAN phase of a lawsuit.
They've asked for some delays to,
of course,
help try to.
Of course, since it has to do with national security and Russian agents and yeah, if we let people know, how we found out that you were part of the courier, it would get another one of our agents in the Kremlin killed, instead of the 6 that got bags put over their head and dragged out of the Kremlin because of Trump's loose lips. We want to be a little more careful this time.
Put their case together. Unfortunately for them, even the Obama-nominated DOJ Inspector General, Mr. Horowitz, came out with a massive 400-plus page report showing the over 17 errors and omissions. And, that's really
how many pages for 17 errors?
Tip of the iceberg. That was
tip of the Obama.
So over a year ago.
Errors and omissions. Such a nice way to say cover up and lies. Sorry, Carter, to cut you off there. I love how they use those words. Errors and omissions. No, cover up and lies.
Oh, yeah? Explain to us the walkback that OAN did on the air about the Mike Pillow allegations about Dominion. Is that because I think you guys might have used errors and omissions in part of that statement.
An innocent man. Carter Page, thank you so much for coming on the program. Slap that book up there one more time. It's Abuse and Power. I'll say it again, how an innocent American was framed in an attempted coup against our president. Speaking of Donald J.
Against the president, not our president. He's no longer, quote, our president.
Trump right there. Carter.
The former president.
Carter Page, thanks for coming on the program. As I said, you are welcome anytime, sir. Best of luck to you, and we'll stay connected.
Oh, hello. The Love Boat soon will be making another run.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Yep.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, Carter and balls together again. Oh my God. All right. So here's the biggie. Okay, we have time. So far, show's going okay. Is the video all right and audio is okay? Yeah, Carter Page is not innocent. Bunch of bullshit. And the dude, he literally, can I just pat myself slightly on the back for making some news? Just by going with that Carter Page one and pointing that fact out. We knew, if you watch the show regularly, when that statement came out, when they charged him with making errors and omissions in his filing of the Carter Page FISA re-up, that we looked at it, and it actually made it less likely that the FISA warrant would go through. We now know that Carter Page was begging him to fix it for him under the Trump administration, and he fucking did. But we're supposed to feel sorry for him. Jesus. Well, the virus. I'm not. Hold on.
When we left that to start with,
I can't go through all these.
Talk about that.
Oh my God.
Lindell. 186. The more folks start with somebody like Mike Lindell come on the scene. Mike Lindell, the CEO of My Pillow.
And by the way, Bannon, honestly, is an opportunistic infection as a human being. And I can't say this clearly enough, thinks Mike Lindell, Rudy Giuliani, and Trump are all full of shit. He just knows that even though they're full of shit, he believes he can use them as fertilizer for his movement, so he plays along.
Mike, thank you very much for joining us. Joe Biden, and I realize that this is one of the things, and the focus is...
By the way, what are you looking at, Mike? Why are you looking at me? Hi, Mike. What's going on, man? What's with the mustard walls all throughout your house? Is it doctor's orders?
Of your life, that you're now part of this
Is he always in a doctor's office?
CCP crusade. You're like saying, hey, there's something wrong with November 3rd. Although President Trump is now in a firefight with Mitch McConnell about direction and control of the Republican Party, I've advocated on a speech I gave Saturday morning to a Lincoln Day pancake breakfast. Right?
Yeah, because that's where all the change in America happens. A Lincoln Day pancake breakfast?
Right, about President Trump should, I think, immediately take charge of the 2022 campaign and basically become Speaker of the House after we have a sweeping victory, impeach Joe Biden immediately, and then...
Okay, yeah, do that. Go for that.
And after he's impeached in 100 days, announce he's running, step down and announce he's running for president in 2024 to get fully engaged here. He's in this firefight with Mitch McConnell.
Yes, please, Trump. I know you may not have attended the Lincoln pancake breakfast where Steve Bannon cooked up this incredible plan for you to re-seize power. But for God's sake, man, please follow his lead and take over. Please, Trump, become the Speaker of the House.
And they're going, the McConnell guys are getting a little nasty about this now, about exactly what kind of help President Trump gave him. There's breaking news, and Mike, with you, and that's why we wanted to have you on this.
Yeah, there's plenty. What's that breaking news? You've broken new sales records for Mike Pillow?
Morning. At 10 o'clock today, Eastern time, you're launching again the film in a number of different venues.
Including this one where you're paying us to play it.
Plus, you're launching a version that's under 30 minutes long.
Yeah, I think that's wise.
That's just the evidence.
Yeah, just the without you in it.
So tell us, if the president's now fighting with McConnell, they're talking about the direction of 2022 and and beyond, and fighting over the Senate candidates, and President Trump is the leader of our movement. President Trump is going to give the direction of it, and as I've said, in the Boston Herald picked it up as their front page story. I'd like to get that back up into the live chat so everybody can see it. That President Trump's going to win in 2024 if he puts his shoulder to the wheel. And he engages, he'll win. Particularly,
by the way, there's money in this argument, and Bannon knows Trump isn't running in 2024. Trump is a wreck already. He's going to be a fucking mess in 2023.
I think, as we saw from Biden's performance last night, we'll talk about the details. We're going to still be in the CCP virus up till Christmas of this year.
No, he didn't say that.
That he has no real plan to open the schools. It's all gobbledygook. Alfredo Ortiz will come in later to talk about that. But
Alfredo Ortiz, that's fantastic. Is Shrimp Alfredo going to be with him?
Mike, tell folks you won't give it up. You're still focused on the 3rd.
Yeah, you're not giving up on this thing or whatever, but you paid us to have you on the show today, and you're a little pissed, so yap.
Why is that? Why did you say, hey, we'd had the Senate trial. Is it time you're the guy that's not moving on? And clearly, every day, the Dominion guys, you're in this firefight with the Dominion guys.
It's not a firefight. It's not a firefight. It's a lawsuit. He's in a lawsuit now.
Why is Mike Lindell not moving on from November 3rd? In fact, you're tripling down today by putting out, and I did the 3-hour special and said, hey, you prepared to put more evidence out? You go, absolutely. So today you're doing it. Talk about what's happening.
No, he isn't. He's not putting out more evidence. He's cutting some of his yammering out and editing it further.
At 10 o'clock. Talk about things. And why are you, is it just that you're so obstinate?
By the way, look at Bannon looking at this dude as he's having him as a guest. He knows he's full of shit. Bannon is playing Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell is paying to be there on the show. This is like, it's lucky for us that we have our sponsor with us. This is a CEO of the company. He just happened to drop by to the show.
You're one of these guys that gets on something and just can't give it away. Are you doing this for the?
Yeah, you're like a a dog with a bone or a crack pipe.
The country, I think, because you got so many fans in our live stream and on #WarOnPandemic, you're really, people feel that you're a leader and feel that you're a patriot and you got the country's best interests. But why won't you just give it up? Why don't you just toss it in, go make some more pillows, and and come back in 2024?
Which is Bannon's advice, by the way.
Well, there would be no 2024 or 2022. Everything you just said there about the plan of 2022 or 2024 makes no difference because Dominion and Smartmatic and other countries will pick our politicians, and that's what happened this year. That's what happened on November 3rd. Foreign entities, including China, picked all of our politicians, and
all of them. They picked all of them. So all the Republicans that won their races, and the fact that the House tightened and the Republicans gained seats in the House, all of those people, anybody who's new, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, were picked by China. Thanks, Mike.
And they picked Biden
and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, apparently.
Millions of votes were flipped. The special today that's coming out, it might be delayed a little bit.
There's still some edits. We need to work on the music a little, and
had problems with power outages, and where my IT guy lives, he doesn't have power. He's trying to.
Let me guess, he lives in Texas.
To do it, trying to get it launched on computers and cell phones with no Wi-Fi. So, but it'll be launched real close to 10. And
okay, good. All right. Well, because I have plans at honest to God at 10:45. I really got to get some sleep because I got to get up early in the morning. There's a lot to do.
And the thing is this is going to be all just the facts. There's going
just as opposed to what was the last round of things? What was the? Sorry, one second.
Just the facts, ma'am.
There'll be no experts in there. Now,
there's going to be what? Wait, what?
Foreign entities, including China, picked all of our politicians.
There's going to be no what?
And they picked Biden, and millions of votes were flipped. The special today that's coming out, it might be delayed a little bit. We had problems with power outages
with Texas, and, poorly run state.
Where my IT guy lives, he doesn't have power. He's trying to do it, trying to get it launched on computers and cell phones with no Wi-Fi. So, but it'll be launched real close to 10. And the thing is this is going to be all just the facts. There's going to be no experts in there.
Okay. There were no experts to start with. So, I mean...
Nothing, because you don't need that. It doesn't matter where you got...
Yeah, you don't need experts.
Got the evidence from.
But
it doesn't matter where you got the evidence from, guys. It doesn't. It doesn't matter where it came from or what form it's in.
But hey, I just slow down for a second, because we did this in a 3-hour special. You're coming out with other versions of the 2-hour movie, and you're putting that out with influencers.
Have it. Sip.
I want to walk through that, and you've got a
don't get a little gravelly
30-minute just evidence. There couldn't be a bigger spread between the bid and the ask. Dominion's saying absolutely consistently.
This is the part where dude, I'm telling you.
Hey, Mike Lindell may know a lot about pillows. He doesn't know anything about technology, computers, internet, voting machines, voting. He's not just wrong.
He's talking out of his ass.
Dead wrong, and he's, I guess, defaming us by saying this. And you're sitting there going,
"You guess it's a 200-page, I think, plus lawsuit."
No, I've got the facts. I've got the evidence. I put that. So it's this golf. It's this golf.
I've got the COVID.
Golf. What are you doing today? Have you reached out to the Dominion guys to say, let's sit down? Have you reached out to the Dominion guys to say, hey, I've got the evidence. I want you to prove me wrong?
Yeah. Let's do this in mediation.
And why is this 28-minute or 30-minute version of evidence? When you say evidence, is it hard evidence? Or
no, it's the same shit that was in the other one. He's just cutting the people interviews and himself out of it, dummy.
Is it more assertions by smart people, but are you actually showing evidence?
He's showing paper somebody sold him.
Well, there's
and a demo of software.
That's two questions there. The first one is Dominion and Smartmatic, but Dominion themselves, big article came out yesterday because actually one of a friend I have that's a very left-wing guy, he reached out to Dominion. Hey, are you going to sue Mike? He just, And they finally said, "Oh yes, we're going to do it." Which, I hope they do. I can't tell you enough because
they are
make it a lot easier because then they're going to have to disclose everything because it's just a fight. Even when you get
No, they don't. No, they don't. This is one of the dumbest parts of this whole thing. Can I explain to you guys something about a defamation lawsuit? Is that if you're suing somebody for calling you a slut, and they use that term repeatedly, and they diminish your your standing in the community and all these other things, and the fact whether or not you've had sex with multiple people is immaterial in a defamation lawsuit. It's the perception that they are trying to sell that you're a slut, not that you're polyamorous and you have multiple relationships with people. You have no responsibility to tell the court, I'm not a slut. I love these people. It's simply that is no one's business. And you don't get to ask me about my sex life. If you don't know about my sex life or you're presenting evidence, all I have to do is refute openly your evidence, if there is any at all. There doesn't have to be discovery in those circumstances. And in the case of where someone is bad-mouthing you, like E. Jean Carroll doesn't have to go into what her relationships were. If she told people contemporaneously, for example, that Trump sexually assaulted her and that she kept the dress from it, right? Because we live in a post-Clinton world, right? She can be asked about those parts of it, but they can't ask her what her relationships were because they're immaterial to whether or not he acted upon her or did something wrong to her and then lied about what he did. Look at it this way. Dominion is E. Jean Carroll and Mike Lindell sexually assaulted them.
The subpoena, like Maricopa County in Arizona, even with the subpoena, they're still not wanting to show a machine. But to answer
it's proprietary software. If they show it to you, they show it to Iran and North Korea and the Russians. You see how this works?
The second part of your question, this evidence, okay, these are timestamps from inside the...
He's talking about the final evidence given by his co-producer who refused to show up on camera.
Spyware used by our government, used by people that work in and out of the government that were there.
Mostly out.
From November 1st to November 5th, that take these timestamps and use.
And they said, look at all this activity in computer servers around the world when America is having one of the most crucial elections it's ever had during a pandemic, when everyone is home constantly on their phone, their iPad, and watching the news on the net on the net as opposed to watching it on cable.
You see the IP address, you see the ID of the computer.
Yeah, by the way, if you did get a chance to watch the entire breakdown, I did his whole movie. I'll do the little short half hour. We'll go back through it. But the end part where he's like, it's got the IP address that they used to attack. It turns out to be the IP address of Alibaba and Huawei's offices. Because China, when they're attacking American elections, just isn't smart enough to use a VPN or an out-of-the-country site. I mean, Russia obviously has its Macedonian hacker farms, but China never even thought about that.
Where the attack came from, the exact moment in time, which computer over here got hacked, the exact computer, or were they let in?
And every time votes are added, it doesn't matter whether or not they're hacked. So they had that little Y where the success, was it a successful break-in or was it not? Even where it's not, the votes continue to go up because they're just tracking the counting of the votes and saying this correlates to this. This is a correlation proves causation argument. It's silly.
And you see the IP address. These are things that are used in court. If anybody looks at it. And these are actually, I want to say, these aren't the actual prints. These are taking the data off what comes out of the computer. You and I would have a hard time reading all the computer talk. But
the computer talk.
Just prints it onto these sheets. That's very easy for anybody who did the attack, which computer, and so on.
So Alibaba attacked a local Georgia election board.
One of the things I want to tell everybody, because I've gotten thousands of emails from the absolute proof. The last third of it is where this big evidence is. And
because why wouldn't you lead with it if that was your big hitter? If you're just about the truth and not just putting it up on sites that have advertising in them, why would you wait till the end?
one of the biggest questions is,
why would the lead-in happen? It's not like you explained all the others. Like, you have to know this, and this to understand this. It's not a chain of evidence leading to an accumulation of, see, this is why it all worked together. Literally, his big drop is, we were attacked literally by China using the servers of Alibaba, Huawei, and other like e-commerce sites within China, because those are the ones you can look up online and just cut and paste them into your stupid document. Not government sites, not servers that bounced from China. And we know that the tracking, because we saw a ping at the exact same millisecond that the ping in South American server bounced and all that bullshit. These literally are just ones you can get if you go to Alibaba.com or what is it, DLGate, or any of the Chinese commerce sites. Oh, God. We went through this nonsense.
Well, how do we know this is real, that you didn't just make it up? Well,
yeah.
I've seen it with my own eyes. That's A.
You wouldn't see the evidence you made up? What? What are you talking about? If you commit a fraud, you see the fraud. How is this?
There's three people that are all involved, and they're ready to come forward when it would get to a court or something.
Yeah, not now.
Or something like that. But
a court or something like that.
Most importantly, just yesterday, we had a group, the last 2 weeks, or since February 5th, have went around and validated the IP addresses and the IDs of those computers.
Yeah. You can get them online easily. That's why it's ridiculous. Because if the IP addresses were easy to find in China, for example, then they're not actual IP addresses from a military-grade attack on the American elections. What kind of moron is the Chinese government if they use the Huawei and it's like if America decided to attack Russian elections and we used Amazon and Apple.com to do it.
I want to say that again. We validated.
So nobody could find out it originated in America.
Here's the spyware, the ID of the computers, and let's say this one's in Fulton County Clerk's office or whatever. Boom, there it is.
Yeah, it's listed online. You can find it.
Wow, you check it. What?
It's not the computer inside the office, dickhead.
What? They match. And
thank you, William.
Then you also
they match.
We have done this both in Maricopa County, that open case up there, and Antrim, and we have compared what votes were flipped there, because we actually they actually are ongoing cases. Both of them are ongoing cases. What votes were flipped there, and does it match this evidence over here? And guess what? Identical.
Well, yeah. Because you created the evidence, dummy. Because these people knew you would buy this shit, so they sold it to you. This asshole was literally shopping for evidence. And so what they did was, let's create a document for him. It works. We'll need some Chinese IP addresses. Just go online, look up big companies, Huawei, Alibaba, anything that you can find, like a real Chinese company that's got their headquarters in Beijing. Yeah, just find the name of it. And we associate those with the government anyway, so they won't know any different. And then go online to the Maricopa County Board of Elections or the Antrim County Board of Elections. Go in there, and then whatever the IP address shows up for the computer when you look in the details on their webpage, just grab that real quick, and then we'll just cut and paste those in. And then we'll backdate it to the time and run a simulation piece of software and then print it out, which is what he did. We watched it happen.
Identical.
Okay.
Identical. It's amazing how we can recreate the crime after the fact.
Okay, I want to go back for people that have seen absolute proof. If you haven't, you
I've seen it. I watched the whole thing.
Definitely ought to see it.
Yeah. He's paying for this spot.
The 3-hour version where we break the film apart and I push back. I want to be specific. In the part...
You break it apart and you push back. Yeah, he did this. Look, Steve, that's what I'm telling you. Steve Bannon did the same shit I did. He watched the whole thing and was like, wait a second.
with I think it was Dennis Montgomery and Mary Fanning at the end of the film, where you have this big
where she won't show up on camera
reveal. You put up two pieces of evidence. I thought they were quite confusing, and I said, first off, the computer chart she had that had all this about where it actually came from, and I said, hey, are you prepared to put out more? I take it what you're saying today, specifically about these IP addresses, because I said, hey, could you have independent people kind of verify that? You're saying now that first piece of evidence they put up, this is what you're providing more about exactly IP addresses, and you can actually have people ascertain that this really came from either Antrim or other places, and you can match it to that?
Right. There's a strip of those, and it's not necessarily the two people you just mentioned. I have, just so you know, I'm not relying on one source.
I've got 4 people.
There's 3 different sources, all with
they all work together.
Had the same access. I just want to make
they all have the same access. It's 3 people in the same office.
Clear. We're not. There's multiple sources, and yes, these things go on and on. There's over 2,000 pages. I'm not going to show them all on TV.
Yeah. No, you or post them or anything so people can look
during this 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But you could just take any line. Let's say it's 11:03 at 10:06 a.m. You see the timestamp.
Okay.
You go over it. You see who attacked. You see the IP address.
Yeah, we know how it works. That's not what he's asking you. He's saying, have you gotten people outside of your groups to go and look at each of these IP addresses and go, these are real, and you couldn't just look them up on the internet and like basically patch them into an Excel document to create a like 9 or 10 hours worth of busy work to sell you on this idea so that you would give them $1 million.
The idea of the computer. You could drive right down in your car, Steve, and go in there if you and I knew how to get the ID off that computer and go, what? How would they have known that?
Because it's on the website.
Thousands of computers if this wasn't real.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, I just want to say, there are a lot of news sites that are very, I don't say supportive, but are very obviously think the world of you and try to report this even-handedly as you get attacked all over. Even some of the sites have come out and questioned either the motives or some of the information was put in the section. I just want to make sure we're clear.
We're clear.
30-minute new film you're coming out with called The Evidence
is just the same shit we saw cut down.
Right? That evidence is to back up certain assertions.
No, it isn't. That's not what he said, and you know it.
That were in the original movie that you think give more depth and more clarity to some of the assertions that were made, and this is now backed up by people that were not originally in the film, but other people, correct?
That's correct, and I want to say one thing too.
Cool, we'll look at it.
It's going to answer a lot of questions, and people that didn't get through that last third of the film.
Why would they not get through the last third? In for a penny, in for a pound. Who watches the first 2/3 of it and goes, ugh? Sorry, everyone.
But one of the things I want to
again, why don't you lead with your biggest evidence?
Say is in the beginning of this, with just the evidence, I want to say all these. I do put up the charts of the organic cheating, the dead people, the minors, the people that didn't live in the state. Those came from Secretary of State's offices. Their numbers that were given to by the state. I went back and double checked.
We broke this down too.
Checked them. So these are all numbers that were given by the state. So you can say, well, when did you make up these numbers? No, those numbers were not made up.
Yeah, just the correlation was made up. Here's a list of people who have died in St. Louis in the last 300 years. Here's other people who have the same names as them who are alive now. Right? See where this goes?
And it just validates a lot of things there. So if you have any doubt in your mind that this is real, and I want to tell everybody, I have better things to do, and I'm 100%.
No, you don't.
100% all in. This is about our country.
Bannon's laughing at you. I have better things to do. Clearly not.
This is about our country. This is about our future.
Honest to God, like Bannon just laughed in his face.
Future. This is about 2022, if it even will happen.
If it even will happen, time's going to stop.
2024, if we got to get rid of the machines, all of them, Smartmatic, Dominion, it can't happen. And
Why don't you bring up ES&S? Because the only evidence that you presented in the beginning, in the first third, which you don't seem to be talking about, is the fact that your primary IT expert went to Austin and went to federal authorities about the amount of chicanery going on in the election machines in Texas, which are all ES&S and Hart machines, of which, Trump, in a state Trump won. And he was like, Dominion, that's nothing. You should look at the ES&S machines. They're used in way more places. Trump won, 80% of the counties that had Dominion machines?
And this is going to show you all that.
But that's how they get you.
Okay, Mike, we're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to return in a...
That's not disgusting or anything. Jesus. Yeah, let's jump ahead. Doing an ad. There we go. Oh, they brought... Okay. Let me explain.
Belied the nice guy exterior. Betrayed the idea of, the affable, and he was affable. Many times last night he was affable. We'll get into that later on.
Yeah.
But there were many moments scattered within where you saw this pernicious anti-American Joe Biden.
Yeah.
The pernicious anti-American Joe Biden that was at the town hall. Probably when he was talking to the little girl. That's what they mean.
And this was the cherry on that cake.
I want to go, by the way.
The cherry on that cake. Do I have to create a book of colloquialisms and analogies for the right?
The film is absolute proof. He's now put out another
ironically named
30 minutes evidence. He's also going to put it out through influencers all today. How do people, first, Mike, before we talk about China, how do people get access to what you're putting up right now? Understanding you've got some power problems out in the Midwest and down in Texas and places. How do people go see? What I really wanted to see is your 30-minute.
Jesus Christ. Mike Lindell went to the same charm school as Carter Page.
Film today on your new evidence that you're prepared to back up.
Right. Well, as soon as it's up, it should be. I just checked with them on break there. It'll be LindellTV.com. LindellTV.com.
Nice.
If you want.
Got his own network now.
Watch it right now. We do have it up on MichaelJLindell.com. But that part.
How many copies of your name do you have to have, dude?
Once you share it, that's gonna, that'll be hit right away. We put a lot of safeguards on, and when we get the LindellTV.com up, that they're not going to be able to attack.
What do you mean?
But
by the way, everybody in the audience, obviously stay here, but you've got to go see LindellTV.com when it's up to 30-minute film.
Yeah.
Or Michael J. Lindell.
He's paying for us to say that, so you got to go there.
Lindell.com to say. When you say hit, what do you mean by hit? Because you got these influencers, this old whack-a-mole thing. When you say hit, who's hitting you?
Well, all the social media, the bad social media sites like Twitter, and it'll be Twitter, Facebook.
It's going to be up in chunks on his Telegram.
I'm sure they're going to, when they get wind, they'll put.
That's great. Jesus Christ. Should I be wearing a mask while this interview happens?
Up partially false information or contains nudity. I mean, these are all.
What? Wait a minute. Hold on. You might have sold me. What is this? Is he going to tube in us? Wait, contains nudity? What new evidence do you have? What happened? What?
Media sites like Twitter.
Thanks, Marcia.
It'll be Twitter, Facebook. I'm sure they're going to, when they get wind, they'll put up partially false information or contains nudity. I mean, these are all things that Facebook does, but.
Did we miss the nudity in the first version? I'll show you. Does he just lose his shit in the middle of the new one and go, absolute proof? Son of a bitch, you goddamn right. I'll show you absolute proof. He's like, he has a Lyndon Johnson moment. You want to see absolute proof?
You get to YouTube.
What? Is this video for children or not for children? Is this video contain any nudity?
And
Jeffrey Toobin does make a quick appearance.
These places, as soon as the computer catches that it's any of this evidence against Dominion or Smartmatic or these machines, bam, they're going to take it down. But we put stuff.
Well, yeah, because they're going to get sued too.
In place where it's going to pop back up, and we've got these. We really went to it's very elaborate.
Oh, it's fine that it stays up. I mean, this is just going to help with the lawsuit.
And it's like fighting back and going, sorry, our voices are going to be heard,
and our penises are going to be shown.
I want a quick.
What is it? The voice isn't the problem. It's the nudity that concerns me.
Before I forget,
please tell me Steve Bannon isn't in this, because I mean, I'm just afraid that if I throw up and have dysentery at the same time, it would not be good for my digestive tract.
Steve, I want to tell everyone, everyone's asking what they can do. I got emails last night from 3 different counties in the country where they went and they're demanding to know why their counties had these Dominion machines and why a lot of them bought them in 2019. And they're demanding answers. They want to know what was wrong with the old way, what was wrong before we got these machines.
Well, Trump won most of the counties that had Dominion machines.
And there, and so I think it's going to be a big movement. Like I say,
well, that's why Dominion is suing you, because they're going to have to go out of business now because all these places are just going to be entrenched. Like, well, we can use anything. We can't use the Dominion machines. They're just people will show up with long guns.
Hope Dominion gets, does good on their promise today and sues me.
Why have I love it? This guy doesn't double down; he quadruples down. But how do you think? Before you get to lawsuits, why have you not sat down with Dominion executives and say, "Look, I'm a businessman. You're a businessman. There's a problem here. I've identified a problem." And
because they know their machines and he doesn't.
Here's what you got to do. And particularly if there's any link to China or this stuff.
Why would he sit down with them, by the way? They're clearly agents of a foreign power. They're dangerous.
Because they keep saying the guy's a nutcase. We're not hooked to the internet. You can't get out. We don't even cross. The CEO comes out and says, hey, Mike Lindell, now is it not going to Barcelona or wherever it's going? It doesn't cross county lines. Lindell so not understands what's going on. It doesn't cross county lines. Why have you not sat down with the Dominion guys? Why do you got to take it to a court? Why can't you work this thing out businessman to businessman?
Well, because it's obviously them. They won't. They'll send me the last letter they sent was, whoever you use in your documentary, we'd like to know because, and they sent me a list of people that weren't credible. And they said, you're going to be embarrassed if you use these people. Well, I didn't use any of those people. And I've reached out to them. I said, somebody tell me where I'm wrong. All the media outlets have not called to say, hey, you're wrong here. You're wrong here.
Yes, they don't call to say you're wrong. They're not there to fix your shit. Mike, we want to talk to you a little bit about your ideas about Christianity. We're not Christians, but we just, it was concerning to us.
One guy did, but it was that left-wing friend of mine. And I said, did you look at the evidence? Did you watch the movie? He said, no. I said, well, then how can you put in your article that it's false?
I watched it. You're full of shit, Mike. I'll walk you through it. Seriously. You'll have to pay me, Mike, because, businessman to businessman. But I will walk you through how you have been sold a bill of goods by these suckers who are leading you around by the nose. Because I have a feeling that in normal circumstances, you're a fairly decent guy, but you're a sucker. And a lot of people have recognized that they just noticed you're a mark and they're willing to sell you some bullshit. And I guarantee I could walk you through it.
And I want to tell another thing too here.
Well, apparently he's been canceled.
I know we just lost power here. Kendra, can you open that up, please? Can you still hear me?
Oh, the lights all went out?
Steve, can you still hear me?
We can hear you. We hear you. Okay. You can't see.
Well,
Mike Lindell just went dark.
We lost power. We lost power. I'm going to try and come over here.
Yeah.
At least you can see me a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. But
this sounds like my show.
When you asked about China.
Am I his left-wing friend, Driftglass? Yes. I'm Mike Lindell's left-wing friend.
When you asked about China, if you look at the evidence you're going to see on this short clip, on this evidence here, the power came back on.
They just decided to put up his book cover in case you don't know who he is.
If you see the evidence, it's going to show that China was 60% of all the attacks came from China.
Yeah, amazingly, all from e-commerce sites.
60% of these cyber attacks came from China, and so that's That's a pretty big statistic.
See, but this is where I think, okay, so this is where I think you raise up the stakes, because as I said on the 3 hour, that's why I think you owe it to yourself, you owe it to the people that are your followers, you owe it to the country, and even to the company, because here you take it to a different level and say, hey, and this is the biggest cyber attack in world history. Now, the head of DNI came out and said definitively they were involved in the 2020 election. Most people interpret that as some social media with the Wu Mao 50 Cent Army or something, some social media impact in that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying something different. You've taken up that, hey, basically,
Huawei and Alibaba.
It's an act of war. That's got to be backed up. And that's what this 30-minute new evidence is. And are you prepared?
No, it isn't. It's a cut down of the thing. They just made an edit.
Prepared to show additional evidence?
No.
Before
he's going to say yes, but he doesn't. He's going to show the same shit.
Or you get into a court of law with the Dominion guys.
Well, and we'll go through it. Don't worry. I'll find it, and we'll do the whole thing.
Clearly, they told Daily Beast yesterday a lawsuit is imminent. So are you prepared to show additional evidence? Are we holding? Look, you're only tripling down. I mean, you somehow eventually they're going to do something, right?
He's literally going for like an insanity defense.
Steve, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do a evidence video, maybe about every 3 or 4 days. Maybe it take a few 5 or 6 days. We'll break out every swing state. Whatever it takes. Here's a swing state. Here's all the evidence of the machine.
You did that in the video. You're just going to pull each segment
from that particular state. We're going to break down exactly the charts by country, by the attacks. We'll break it down by state, by computer, and say, hey, why won't they let us see these computers?
Why won't they insist that those computers exist when they don't?
I want to let the people know what's going on out there.
Honest to God, like we know that they grabbed the IP addresses, whoever sold this bullshit to Mike Lindell, but took the IP addresses from e-commerce sites because he quotes a bunch of them in the fucking movie. He goes over it a bunch of times. But the ones that are supposed to be the election servers or whatever, most of them, the ones that he mentioned, allegedly are the IP addresses of computers that the election county board uses. More than likely, they're the ones that upload stuff to the internet that tell everybody this is how many we've got so far. So people walk over, they do the tabulations, they give the tabulation saying somebody physically enters in, this is how many votes we got, 37,585 votes came in. They were 56% for this guy and 40% for this guy, and there was a bunch of fall off. And then they send those to Steve Kornacki. The IP addresses that he mentioned that he has in those counties are all that computer, the one where they inform the media, the ones that are readily available on the internet. It's friggin' dumb. But if he has any IP addresses that are just magically not connected to anything, he can go, that was actually a computer that was in the office of accounting place here. And you'd have to prove a negative.
What lawsuits are out there currently with these that involve these machines? And I'm going to, and the thing is why would they not want to come and say, Mike, come on, you're wrong here. You're wrong. Would you,
They are in the form of a lawsuit. They pushed back both publicly and privately.
Let's go on national TV and look at this,
Let's give you a day in the sun spouting this bullshit even more and have to stand there and show screens of lines of data and go, that's actually, you just made that up. Next segment.
So I'll talk about this, but they don't do that, Steve.
Why, again, like this owe you a microphone bullshit.
Every news outlet in this country attacked me for 20-some days, and on February 5th,
They attacked you. They just randomly, remember, he wasn't even in politics. Remember that day when all the news organizations just decided it's time to shit on the MyPillow guy?
And nobody calls. I call these guys all day long, every day. Come on, guys. Put the evidence out there save our country. What is wrong with the New York Times, the USA Today, the Washington Post?
They've looked into what you're talking about, and it's not credible.
CNN.
That's what's wrong. And you keep calling, and it doesn't change the reality.
All these places that Dominion has them scared. Oh, we're going to sue you. Well, you know what? Good for you, Dominion. You sue me. If we don't get this solved, we don't have a country anyway. Where are you going to get the money from? The Tooth Fairy?
From your business, dude.
Okay.
Retail sales are up 5.6% this month for January. Just saying.
Mike, real quickly, we got about 30 seconds left. How do people go see these films today? How do they see a 30-minute film and how do they see the longer film?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to see, you can go to michaeljlindell.com or you can go to lindelltv.com. The lindelltv.com.
You can go to houseparks.live and donate there to help us get a new computer. And, of course, you can always go to patreon.com/houseparks and become a patron today. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We don't, unlike OAN and Steve Bannon stations, we don't have a ginormous moronic benefactor paying our bills.
Should take about another half hour. As you can see, we keep losing power here where I'm at and with this storm.
Okay.
But you guys, once you get there, you need to share it everywhere. By the way, Steve, the half hour now has been seen as of this morning by over 100 million people worldwide.
The 2 hour movie. Yep. Okay.
2 hours.
We're going to talk about this. We're going to push this out today. People should see it. We always invite the Dominion guys to come on. Love to have them on to.
Yeah, and can you interview some of the Indian viewing farms that he's hired to watch his video to jack the numbers up so that they get a higher position in Google AdSense? You're not going to talk about that? Okay.
To give the counter argument. Mike Lindell, thank you very much.
Thanks,
CEO
Mark.
Of My Pillow and his crusade to prove that November 3rd something was amiss, and he's not going to give it up. Okay, sure.
Well, yeah, because lunacy is his only defense. Okay, but we come back, and who's the next guest on there? Oh, oh no.
Go. So now
So we're going to talk about. We're probably going to talk about the Biden crime family.
The Chinese people. That's an insult to the Chinese people. Chinese people, one of the great civilizations. We keep saying it's unsatisfactory. You got 1.4 billion people from probably our most ancient civilization that are slaves to this totalitarian dictatorship. Okay, Mayor, tomorrow with Eric Greitens, we're going to be talking about Winston Churchill and about this whole new thing at Churchill College at Cambridge, right? This whole thing about...
Oh, my God. Is he more orange than usual?
This awful seminar they had. And about Churchill's history,
there's a distinct oaky kind of. It looks like he just slammed his face in the powder that comes with Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Where we met.
You've studied Churchill.
Totally, mostly his neckline.
For many years, you saw.
Yeah, because anybody who studied Churchill does this.
Saw Biden last night. Is that what a commander-in-chief does, Rudy Giuliani?
No, it's just the opposite. I mean, I wrote a book on leadership a few years ago. So now I can write a book on leadership and point out what you don't do.
Yes, you're an expert.
First of all, he didn't really answer, as the Boston Globe noted. We went back to whatever they call the Trump presidency, to a boring presidency, where he answers no question. Notice he gave no definitive position on anything. We don't know when he's going to open schools or what he's going to do about it, what kind of position he's going to take on that.
He was there to talk about the funding to get it done. Without that money, without that bill passing, there are not the funds necessary to open the schools. You need PPE. You need to make sure the teachers can get vaccinated. You need to have enough of it. He's planning on doing it in the first 100 days. There is no daylight. This is silly.
No answers on anything. A Trump conference like that, we'd have 10 answers that we'd all be fighting about or talking about.
Because they would be nonsense. What answers were we getting from Trump? Maybe, stick a light bulb up your ass. Maybe we can ingest bleach.
Most importantly on China.
That's the key part. Is the China part. I'm sorry, I have to... we would have gotten several answers from Trump, like...
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
I mean, that's definitive. You know what I mean? He would know... He would know a little something about the town he was in.
Michigan gave us Motang.
He would definitely address, how you're going to jumpstart the economy.
Once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
He would talk about environmental policy.
Wildlife refuges. I mean, you look at this, you look at what we do with our wildlife. Person, woman, man. Yosemites.
With lots of answers.
I mean, I noticed from the little bit you could get with a telephone call with Z that he was very accommodating. And I have a podcast about that coming on tonight and an op-ed.
Ew. We'll handle it tomorrow.
Piece tomorrow. I was really concerned that he didn't bring up in strong terms COVID or CCP virus and the fact that just to let him know. One of the things you do with an opponent is you let him know you know the game he's playing and you're aware of it. And he should have said to him, look, I was out of it at the time, but I realized what you did. You let all those people travel all around the world and you infected the world.
Yeah, so the bioweapon angle.
And that's on my agenda, Z. Big time. Big time. And then
that's how you do it. You come on there and you go, the Chinese party and the Chinese government intentionally released a bioweapon on the entire earth, and we are going to treat them accordingly. And then you start talking about trade deals. What trade deal are you having with a country that you actually believe attacked your country with the most successful bioweapon attack in human history and murdered 500,000 of your people? If that's what you believe, what part of this, where is their strategy beyond that? That is a declaration of war.
Also, I'm not one of these people that's playing denier.
Bridget says his makeup artist is a county mortician.
I know what you said.
Thanks,
about
Foggy.
trying to supplant us in 2049. And he would not say it the way I would say it, but,
Yeah, that's because he's an electable politician.
Take your best shot, pal. But I'd want him to know those are two things. We're not just sitting by watching.
But let me, because you an advisor to Trump. Trump confronted the Chinese Communist Party on the world stage when people waking up this morning, the world leaders, I saw that last night. How would they compare Donald Trump's full confrontation with the Chinese Communist Party with not just accommodation? It's worse than accommodation. Mm-hmm. You're essentially kowtowing. You're making excuses.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, why aren't you saying that they attacked us with a weapon? Because if you did, you'd have to say that Trump actually oversaw the biggest bioweapon attack in the nation's history and allowed it to happen and then sold them corn.
It's handing a license for genocide is what it is. If you're a bad actor on the world stage and you see that, you see a license to commit mass murder.
Really? I'm sorry, are we watching old Trump speeches?
Rudy Giuliani, mayor, do you agree with Raheem Kassam? Do you think that that's what Biden did last night?
I think he assumed the normal position that Biden assumed as vice president with China. You know what that position is. And he was submissive. The best description could be submissive. A number of newspapers, even liberal ones, pointed out he never referred to him as an opponent. He did note China's desire to challenge the United States, but almost in a way that that's okay, that's all right. He didn't say, we're going to challenge you back, pal, and beat you, or something like that.
So it's the language. So because he didn't, I'm trying to grasp whether or not that's a policy aspect of things, or if Rudy just thinks that as an unelected former mayor who ran for president and never won, that the guy who got the most votes in American history, who did win after running several times and was vice president for 8 years, might actually have a strategy that actually functions beyond just being a gadfly suck up to Donald Trump.
So the reality is, on the things that Z wants to accomplish, he looks at Biden and says, I don't have much of an opponent here. Look, if the best he's going to do about the Uyghurs is tell me...
The Uyghurs?
Well, I think the way he started it on human rights was so pathetic. He said, we must speak up for human rights, so we are. I don't know if that was just a figure of speech, but it sounds like he doesn't want to speak up for human rights, but he has to. It's pathetic.
You're going to have the podcast up tonight.
He was saying we as a nation we have to speak up, and we are. We are representing that belief that the country should do that, as opposed to Trump basically going, as long as you buy some corn, we're cool.
Particularly,
kill our people, kill your people.
The readout from the 2-hour conversation. I want to the same town hall, different topic. He said that we're going to be basically he expects things to be better by Christmas of this year in New York City.
Better. But we'll reach some level of herd immunity or have enough people vaccinated by July. That was also part of it. But they're all shooting for Christmas is when we're wide open. Like as the fall leads in, there's going to be a rush of cases where people who didn't get vaccinated or refused to get vaccinated or haven't had a chance to, or were out of the country or caught it someplace else. Well, there'll be a little dust up, but and there may be areas you have to take care of if you're being an adult about it. But by Christmas, it'll be solved.
You were the greatest mayor the city ever had. Can the city of New York take the current protocols that they're going through for another year? Can the economy?
No one's expecting them to.
The people, can law and order, can the family take? If he's like, oh yeah, by Christmas, should be getting back. Can New York City take this, Mayor Giuliani?
No, New York City is right now in a spiral that. There is no.
Yeah, you can hear you're there for one. We can hear the police the police cars outside.
Logical prediction as to what would prevent that spiral, given the radical nature of the electorate in New York. And people look back to when I was elected. It's a different city. We didn't have AOCs, and I don't mean just her, but that whole group of people who looks at the world as if we're a left-wing country. We should be redividing our wealth. We should be emulating Venezuela.
Yeah, that's what they're shooting for.
There's very little of that.
That's what Schumer's all about.
We had old-fashioned liberalism that could be appealed to come to the middle or occasionally vote for a Republican.
And what happened to old school conservatism? The conservative Obama voter.
That hardcore. That went way back to electing LaGuardia, electing Lindsay as a Republican, electing me. I don't see it there right now. Now,
maybe because you guys fucked up so bad?
I'm wrong. I'm studying it because I really would like to see one of these Republican candidates get elected. The only hope is, God forbid, and you hate to say this, that things will get worse.
That's it. There you go. This is now... We found out that Rudy Giuliani's spirit animal is Susan Sarandon. I mean, this is the same bullshit argument around the early Bernie bro stuff that gave us Hillary Clinton and will arguably screw 2022 for them, is that they're hoping that it doesn't work out. I know Hal Sparks may not be a socialist, but I am not a socialist. By any measure. I believe in proper democratic taxation and liberal values.
I mean, it's pretty bad right now. Subway crime, I don't know if you've been...
And socialism, like what people call socialism in this country isn't, period.
Seeing New York, but subway crime for the last week is, the only story in the New York Post correctly. Well, we've got people thrown on tracks. We have this crime going on now that I don't even remember. They just come by and punch you in the face and kick you while you're down and walk away.
Yeah, New York's never been a tough city.
They don't even
I mean, are you kidding me? Nice, Cosmic Rose. That's great. I look forward to pictures. Is New York not the city where you look at somebody wrong and go, hey, what the fuck you looking at? Like literally, you talking to me is a line that was born out of New York's attitude problem. What are you talking about?
Take anything. Just an act of total anger and domination. They just come by.
What's the anarchy about?
What is
the anarchy about?
Seems like it's almost anarchy.
It goes back to my broken windows theory. This idiot in City Hall rejected the broken windows theory when he first came into office. He said he didn't believe in it. Bloomberg used the broken windows theory. Now, it wasn't mine. It was Professor James Q. Wilson of Harvard. So they all should have accepted in New York. It came from...
Of course, Ted Cruz went to Harvard, so, I mean, you got to take that with a grain of salt.
Harvard. So, it rejected...
Yeah, New York Attitude has been a joke in movie for ages. The Ghostbusters 2 is literally about how shitty New Yorkers are to each other and strangers.
We're not going to pay attention to small crimes. On the subway, the big small crime is you don't pay the fare. Fare beating 30-40% when I became mayor. 5 weeks later, 2%. It brought down crime 30%. People that come into the subways to sucker punch you, rob you, rape you, they don't pay the fare. So you interrupt them, number one. Number two, even the ones that do come in, you identify them.
Again, I don't know why this is about how, like, Biden's town hall.
Because if they don't pay the fare, you take their picture, you take their fingerprints.
By the way, I would argue at this point that this is actually an example of how well Biden's America is going right now, because Steve Bannon is interviewing a former mayor of New York, and he is opining on the current problems of New York. Right? Normal shit. I mean, the fact that, Giuliani wants to give Biden tips is a joke. But the fact that he's talking about New York and what they thought and how his plan worked better than somebody else's, even though he's full of shit, this is normal.
Half of them turn out to...
That's who you interview. You find the mayor that used to run the place that agrees with you, and you bring him on your show and go, huh, you see, the new guy's fucking it up.
I mean, violent felons. This idiot does away with it. And subway crime goes up 50%. Subway ridership goes down 75%.
During a pandemic.
It really went up about 180%.
Interesting math.
I mean, I tell people not to ride the subways. I have, you know, my friend, that
it's scary.
He can't maybe take care of himself. I make sure he gets driven home every night. Wouldn't put him on a subway if I had to walk him home.
Mayor, your podcast tonight's coming out tonight is about the CCP, about Xi and Biden. It's another Rudy's Podcast on Fire. How do people get the podcast? You've got the WABC.
Honestly, kudos to Steve Bannon for running this like a real show and understanding that basically these are paid spots.
Show every day at 3 o'clock. You can get the app and listen to it. You got the weekend show, but tell people how they go to the podcast.
Rudy'sCommonSense.com. And it should be there about...
No, it isn't. Dipshit. It's RudyGiulianiCS.com.
5:30, 6 o'clock tonight. And then it'll be followed by...
Unless he's like Lindell has now bought every version.
An op-ed piece.
Op-ed tomorrow?
Then I'll follow with an op-ed piece on Rudy's CommonSense.com, so that we flesh out some of the things that have come up since then. Because I think this is the most important foreign policy issue. There's no doubt. I mean, I'm only saying the obvious, Raheem. China is the number one foreign policy problem we face, except for the internal possibility.
Have you seen the Chinese people? I mean, Rudy can't tell them apart, and he certainly doesn't understand that squiggly language. At least the Russians look like they, relatives of Steve Bannon's. You know what I mean?
Of overthrowing us. China is the only country that can challenge us.
Okay, Mayor, we got to bounce. The podcast comes on tonight. We'll talk about more about after break. Mayor Giuliani, thank you very much.
Rudy Giuliani 是最大了笨蛋.
Tom Della Baccara next.
Pass. Thanks very much. I can't, hold on. Hold on. There we go. Pages worked. Look at that. I've still got a little bit of tweaking. I've got a little bit of stuff to make up for, to get the show up and running the way it was. But today, relatively smooth. Yeah. Audio-wise, everything. It's friggin' man. And again, we don't very often get to, and somebody was asking who's the long-haired chick. That's Steve Bannon. He's male. It's basically just a mountain man COVID do at this point. If you're talking about me, I'm spoken for. Don't hit on me. And I also want to say to all the trolls that came out today, the maggots and Trumpsters and Mike Lindell dead enders and stuff who were looking for a place to flop for a little while. They're kind of like Mike Pence and Trump themselves. They got a lot in common. They're all homeless. Trump is obviously sleeping at the office. He can't, because we know that, Mar-a-Lago is not actually a residence and is not legally supposed to be a residence. He's only supposed to stay there for 27 days out of an entire year, I think is the rule. And he's staying there as his residence now. He's got it marked as, which is a lie and, of course, is voter fraud. But Mike Pence is apparently, he and his wife are couch surfing until they buy something. Mike Pence, if you don't know, he voted in Indiana in the election, and he used the governor's mansion of Indiana as his mailing address for voting in Indiana, even though he was living in D.C. as vice president. Also voter fraud on a baseline level. Just saying. But those of you that are seemingly confused by a pretty boy like myself with long hair, I don't know what to tell you. I've had fun in Eastern Europe. I understand that there's like homophobic enclaves that you can live there that have totally shunned rock music and any teachings about Jesus and the apostles because guys with long hair freak them out. Never mind the founding fathers. I'm just styling my do out of, based on Judas. And if you were, know your Bible history, you know that Judas loved Jesus best. This is true. That's why he offered himself up to be the bad apostle. Long story. We'll do that next time. But, understand that if you need to come someplace every day and kind of chuck, mildly sexist, mildly homophobic, weak-kneed, racist, and Trump-supporting stuff. This is a good place to do it for the most part because you puff up my numbers and you make the show bigger. And, we've got 620 people just in the YouTube. That's double what we used to get. And we really have, in many ways, the spread caused by the Trumpster troll panic to, we have to thank them for that. You know what I mean? All the people at Right Side Broadcasting Network and all the people at OAN who've, seen me use the clips and have found clips of me, taking the piss out of those guys have come over and go, "You don't dare. Who's a charlatan?" So I appreciate it. I really do. Sometimes we have to mute you when you, try to foment violence or threaten someone or you're just flat out racist. Which I know it's a knee-jerk reaction. I know it's how you get the big bucks at Troll Central. I know they, for every, rule you can break typing in a racial or sexual epithet, you get, I don't know what the boost is these days. Does anybody know what the going rate is? Does anybody? I think it's, what is it, 10%? Is it 12%? I'm just saying we need a $15 minimum wage so these people can get a real job. I'm just saying. So, in general, thank you guys for coming and puffing up my numbers. And, of course, thanks to all the regulars. I'm going to try something on my way out the door today as I finish out the show. This is kind of cool. If it works, it's pretty cool. And because I don't have my other setup so that I can see what the super chats were today, and so we got a new patron this show, patreon.com/HalSparks. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. If you can support the show, please do. If you can't, don't worry about it. Come here, hang out, be happy, laugh a little bit with us. Keep an eye on the other side. Think of this as the long-form Midas touch. We'll handle it. But in the end of this, hopefully this will work. Fingers crossed. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's show, of course, is at 4 o'clock because I have family FaceTime earlier. So I don't move that. I move the show because family first. Just how we operate in the Mason world. Just how we operate. It's good. But take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. Reach out to somebody. We're going to get through this. I want to hear everybody's vaccine stories tomorrow. If you've been vaccinated or if you're scheduled to do so, I'm very curious. My mom is getting her second dose in about a week. My dad has gotten both his doses, and my stepmom, his wife, went for her first dose yesterday. So and I have some friends in the Vegas area who've gotten their shot, and there's a lot of remnant business here. People going down and getting the last few shots in the vial so they don't go to waste. And that's an interesting story. I want to know if anybody's actually done that. I'm curious. So regardless, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys for the support. Love you bunches. Have a great night. I'll see you Thursday. just need to get a little more sun. Remember your vitamin D. That's all I'm saying. Here it comes. Let me know if this works when we talk tomorrow. We should have end credits. Fingers crossed. Hope it works. Hey, it works, I think.
Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store.
I'm your father, Luke. Give in to the dark side of the Force, you knob.
He hunts no!
The golden rule. He who has the goal makes the rule.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said,
So that's the kind of fight it's gonna be. Did you have a shade?
Leon's getting larger. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
I am a half 9,000 computer.
Let me put it this way, Mr. Amer. The 9000 series is the most reliable computer ever made. No 9000 computer has ever made a mistake or distorted information. We are all, by any practical definition of the words, foolproof and incapable of error.